All right, excellent afternoon to all those who are watching me across the states in Nigeria. When we say we want to transform our society, it begins with leadership by example. If there's an excellent way to learn to do that, I think it's important for us to follow the trail of the achievers. Again, I welcome you to another interesting episode of Real Talk with Kike. I remain your convener, Kike Atanda-Owo, Abati. And of course, I think it's important for us to hear what On This Day in History segment asks for us today. When I return, I give my 2 cents on it. Stay with me. I'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with us. My takeaway from On This Day initial segment today is just the land or no land dispute. And I remember that the Bakassi Peninsula was under dispute for decades, since military era onto the civilian era, until the pronouncement by the International Court of Justice. However, as it is, if you ask me, it was a very sad thing for Nigeria to have lost that expanse of land. The sadder loss that we should be more focused on even, will I say, the vast expanse of land in agriculture that we are reaching, and of course the mineral resources that we are yet to maximize the potential. So if you ask me, I just feel that On This Day initial segment today, this is one of the current exploitation when it comes to oil and mineral resources that are still the source of our national problems till date. I feel that we can shift focus from oil and gas and actually concentrate on other things that can be of added value to our country. But on that note, I think that's my takeaway from On This Day History segment today. Let's get a message from my sponsors, those who have put me on this platform. And when I return, we'll dive straight to the topic at hand. Stay with me. I'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with me. In today's Africa, the journey of a woman entrepreneur often goes beyond just building a business. It's about pioneering change, inspiring confidence, and fostering empowerment across entire communities. For women, especially entrepreneurship, I believe that transformative path to financial independence and personal growth, unlocking new opportunities, not just for themselves, but also for countless others who are inspired by their courage and resilience. Today's guest is just going to be a powerful one. It's a powerful word I must emphasize in terms of our vision, our purpose, and the willingness of consistency, or would I say, constantly evolving, and we can see that from our own movement, starting with a dream that she ventured into in an industry where she not only challenged the stereotype, but also redefined standards in a way that celebrates African identity and beauty. Through her work, she has impacted the lives of countless women, helping them realize their own potential and gain the financial independence they need to thrive. We will explore our journey through reinvention and, of course, the highs and the lows, and how she managed to sustain an iconic brand in a competitive landscape. I think it's important for us to drive straight to our profile. When we return, we'll be hearing straight from her. Stay with me. I'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with us. Of course, I have the powerful visionary. In fact, I'm trying to get my act together, guys, because this is one woman I've tried so much to bring on this. But finally, we have Mrs. Tara Fela-Durotoye. It's a pleasure to finally have you on the lunch show today. How are you doing today? But you look beautiful as always.
I'm super excited to be here. Thank you, my beloved Kike.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm finally here. Real Talk with Kike.
Thank you so much. Thank you for honoring my invite. So, guys, let's just dive straight to the topic at hand, because I know that we are a little bit behind schedule. You know, I want you to share with us, you know, staying relevant, you know, in a business in terms of your brand. Your brand is a big one, if I must emphasize on this platform. But how big it is, I believe that there will be challenges when it comes to the startups and, you know, till date and all of that. You started out in the 90s, I believe, over 2 decades ago, you know, and you still remain relevant in business today. As a brand till date, what is that secret to Tara's relevance in the Nigerian industry today?
I think, thank you so much for that. It's a wonderful question. I think it's an important conversation to have, especially for entrepreneurs generally in Nigeria, especially with those of us who built from the real industries, right, and built from scratch. One of the key elements for me when I think about the iconic brand that is House of Tara is that as a visionary, it's also important to know the times and the seasons. To be able to sense where the business cycle is per time. There was a time where I was the all and all, but I also came to a season when I understood that I needed people. And when I brought in people, I gleaned into their talents, I gleaned into their personal visions for themselves. I gleaned into my power to connect with people. And in developing the brand, I developed the brand beyond me. But as I built, first of all, as a personal brand and then building as a company brand, I also understood the power of scaling and scaled some of those things beyond me to a group and to a bigger community. And I think in building the beauty rep model, where we had beauty reps all across the country who were distributing the products to other African countries and now all across the world, made the business continue to thrive. The second arm was also in building systems and structures, because I was building for the long term. I was very conscious of the fact that I didn't want to do this all of my life. I also knew that there was a place where House of Tara play a role the House of Tara could play for helping me to create a brand, but also to help others build their own brands. And that's what House of Tara became, a platform. And every time you're a platform, you can't be irrelevant. Right, it's impossible. You will always stay relevant, because for time, you're continuing to evolve. And I think that's the story for us.
Fantastic insights right there. And listening to you, I like the fact that you are coming from the angle of when to draw people in as you climb, you know, but sustaining brand name and brand identity are two different things, if you ask me. You have sustained House of Tara, and at the same time, you have kept on reinventing yourself in the field. That's my takeaway from your submission right now. So what has been the challenge being a female entrepreneur, sustaining, you know, your brand identity, despite the fact that there are people that you've brought along with you that could also pull your brand down? We cannot run away from issues like that, because in an era of digitalization, you know, and social media platforms that are, you know, that they are using now to run businesses, you know, I would like you to show more light on the virtuality of all businesses, especially when it comes to thriving on social media vibrancy, and of course, even in the giants like Tony Elumelu has a bigger brand image and followership than UBA itself, and that's how I see someone like you. So, should female entrepreneurs, you know, be striving towards the social media platform, or focus more on their onions, or would you say their capabilities is something that they should concentrate more first with the likes of social media limelight today? Because however you look at it, with your first submission, we cannot take away the virtual act of technology today.
So for me, technology is an enabler.
Okay.
And what you're seeing is, this is who I am, but how can I leverage technology to expand what I already am? It's not one or the other. Okay. It's almost as though we're saying, you know, I want to go to Ikoyi, right? I can go with a car, I can go by boat. But the choice is mine. What vehicle do I want to use? And that's what social media is. Social media is a vehicle. It's a vehicle to push your own propaganda. It's a vehicle to push your own values, your own vision. And so for me, I think that women need to embrace it because it is a vehicle. Many of us have different ways of traveling. So sometimes you travel by road, sometimes you travel by air. If you have the chance, you travel by rail, right? It is up to you as someone to say which one is perfect for me and suited for me at this time. For me, for us, we are in beauty, but we're also in social impact. And so when I think about the relevance of expanding the vision from a social impact standpoint, we cannot run away from social media, because social media is a tool, is a vehicle, is a platform that we must embrace as women. We cannot shy from it. We must embrace it and do it well. The second thing you mentioned was some of the challenges around when you empower people and bring people in. It is. I mean, we all know the story of Jesus and the 12 disciples. And we had Judas, right? If the Son of God could have Judas, you will always have that. That's without saying. You will always have those who betray you. But I think that if we think about that iconic story of Jesus and his disciples, if you focus on Judas, then we'll not have the entire 2/3 of the New Testament that was written by one disciple. We'll not have the story of the other disciples. And I've kept myself focused on that, not to focus on the betrayers, but to focus on those who have been passionate. I just had a conversation with the VGC Pora chairman earlier before we came to Silverbird, and I was saying to her about how I've had people who have been extremely passionate. They've been committed to the vision. They've bought into the vision. They've seen themselves in the vision. So whatever you emphasize is what you see. What you focus on becomes your reality. I have decided to focus on my 11 rather than my 1.
All right, many thanks for that elaborate submission. Now, listening to you again, what comes to mind is finance, because everybody who knows me knows that I like money. Income is very key. So the financial independence now is a crucial element of empowerment. You know, listening to you talking about empowerment, how has House of Tara helped women, especially in Nigeria, you know, in terms of gaining their own independence or financial independence, and what impact have you said that, or can you say that you've seen in the lives of those people who you have impacted? And the reason why I'm asking this question is because beauty often goes beyond the surface. You know, quite a number of people, when they see it, they look at you from the surface, and I say to them, no, serving as a tool for economic empowerment is another thing that I feel that we must elaborate on this platform. How do you see the beauty industry today in terms of empowering women economically, and what roles has House of Tara, you know, played in this space of economic empowerment?
Listen, there is no other Nigerian brand or even beauty brand in this country that has done more work on economic empowerment as House of Tara has done. Point blank, that's without saying. We've invested a lot in training and developing, and not just training with the skill to do makeup, but training with the understanding that you're building for the long term. That even if you're a micro entrepreneur, like Tara, as the example, started as a small business with 15,000 naira and see what she's built today, you can do the same. This has always been our message. Our message was, yes, you must have the skill, but you must also understand the business dynamics that come with building a business for the long term. We call women, we call them to elevate themselves beyond the skill, because sometimes you may not be able to use the skill after a season. What else do you do? And it's lovely to, every time I travel across the country, across the world, I bump into people who say to me, I was once a beauty rep. We were in Doha together when one of the speakers was on stage. Very well known. I also shared
my own experience with my friends as well when we graduated from university.
Yes. Yeah. And you would always hear one person's Tara story. And for us, this is, and I was speaking to the team a few days ago with a new managing director, and I was saying, this is the legacy that House of Tara has built, is the lives of impact that we have touched, changed, but giving them a tool for economic empowerment. And we must embrace, we must be proud, and we must continue on that path.
I will give you all the flowers, honestly. And, you know, this will be my last question to you before we move to the next segment of the show. What's your vision for African women and entrepreneurs moving forward? You know, you have shared your testimony, you have impacted, so you're still impacting people at large. How can they prepare to thrive in a world where reinvention and resilience are essential?
I would always say to female entrepreneurs that we need to move from where we are to the next level. And the next level for us is to build mega businesses. We don't have enough female Dangotes. We don't have enough female, and you recycle the same names over and over again consistently in that space. I'm calling out female entrepreneurs to say we can no longer just build lifestyle businesses. We need to build legacy businesses, and that's my shout out to female entrepreneurs across the continent.
All right, fantastic. Many thanks for all your submission, Dosa. We wish you the very best as you continue to navigate the career path of impacting the world at large. I think on this note, we'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll move to the second segment of the show. Stay with me. I'll be right back. All right, glad to know you're still right there with us. If you're just tuning in, we've been talking about individual empowerment, the community legacy. For the next segment shift, we focus on the remarkable celebration of vision, growth, and unity. Yes, over the past 3 decades, one community has not only redefined human living in Nigeria, but also set a high standard for sustainable development, safety, resident engagement from the inception, and the neighborhood has also fostered a unique sense of belonging, blending modern, modern infrastructure with a spirit of togetherness and innovation. I think that's the word we use to describe VGC today. Now, as this community marks its 30th anniversary, there's a lot to celebrate, a lot to plan for the future under the leadership of a committed team, and this milestone is being recognized with a series of events dedicated to honoring the past, investing in the present, and inspiring future growth, from community building activities like charity works and tree planting initiative to reflecting on the journey thus far. This anniversary is about giving back to the residents and strengthening, the ties that makes the community exceptional. Before, I think, yes, we've played the second profile of our guest today, and I think that I must thank you guys. Many thanks, Mrs. Lola Bolariwa. Many thanks for creating time to be here today. And of course, our first guest, Mrs. Tara Fela-Durotoye. Thank you so much for all that you've done thus far in terms of community building and impacting. But before we go further, I think it's important for me to quickly open the phone lines. Remember that you can be part of the conversation by calling the studio number 081-188-88-1132. Be showing on your screen right now. And of course, we're streaming live on Facebook, both on Real Talk with Kike platform and on Silverbell platform. So, Ma, let me come to you. Again, I thank you. Thank you so much for creating time to be here and for all that you have been doing thus far. But VGC is known to be an area for the, we keep it real on this part, for the rich, that's the word to use, for over the last 3 decades. And I must remember the humble beginning of VGC, because as the chairman of VGC, PORA, that's Property Owners Residents Association, for those who are listening to us right now who doesn't understand what VGC PORA means, what does this 30th anniversary, milestone, what does it mean to VGC community? And of course, what legacy can you say that, you guys have been able to build thus far over the years to date?
Okay, thank you so much for that question, and thank you for having us on your show. This 30 years is landmark for us because over the years, you hardly find institutions or estates or communities which have existed for that long and is not run down. And for us, the diversity, the togetherness, the innovations that we've been able to bring to bear on community living is really very exciting for us, and we think is worth celebrating. Also, the inclusion in our society and the inspiration, a daily inspiration in the lives of the people who live in the estate. It's, you know, it's astonishing for us, and we think that we need to celebrate, because, you know, sometimes if you don't tell your stories, other people tell the stories
Absolutely.
for you. Yeah.
All right. I like the part where you say if you don't share your story, other people will tell your stories for you. But you know what? Like I said earlier, we keep it real on this platform. I'm coming to you, Statara, because the Remembrance Project for VGC at 30 includes various community, like I said in my intro, various events. Can you share more about the vision for these activities, and of course what hope residents would take away from, for those who do not reside in the community, that you hope that they will eventually join you? Maybe people like us who feel even though the location is an issue for me, you know, but I understand that there are quite a number of people that will still prefer such community to even living closer to town.
So Victoria Garden City, which is VGC, is really a city. And it's a city because it's probably the only estate in Nigeria that has over 2,500 homes, more than 10,000 residents. So it is almost a local government, right? Number one. Number two, is a premier residential estate of that size that has been built in Nigeria, with all the infrastructure. Whether it's, we have so many places of worship within one location, from the Foursquare to a Redeemed to a Winners to
Apostolic,
a Dominion
to
Catholic to Anglican in one vicinity. We have malls, shopping malls, 2 shopping malls.
Even schools?
We have a school, right? We have schools within the premises that have been there for 40 years, right? That's been there, Chrisland School, that's been there for 30 years. It's the fact that it's, you know, the initiator called it the paradise by the lagoon because of all the entire waterfront around the estate in itself. It's the greenery, it's the focus around healthy lifestyle. VGC is the only residence estate that you can walk for 1 hour and not feel like you have been burnt by the sun, because there are trees everywhere. So we have a culture of greenery. This is what we're celebrating. We're celebrating, number one, by tree planting, for example. We're doing a tree planting ceremony, and the tree planting ceremony is yet again emphasizing on our culture of greenery. What new plants can we plant? What new trees can we, to preserve the greenery of the environment? But also we're very big on giving back to our society. So we're giving back to senior citizens through the charity work that we're doing on Saturday, and to children with special needs. Of course, we always have a carnival. So this year will be part of carnivals of all the different tribes. So, you know, we say that VGC is a small Nigeria because there's every tribe that's represented, from Yorubas to Igbos to the Lebanese communities, the Indian communities. We're all coming out so that our children can also see and learn about other cultures. This is what we talk about when we talk about inclusion. These are part of the things that we're celebrating.
All right, many thanks for that submission right there. But listening to you, I'm still with you right now, because you have planned a tree planting exercise and other development projects. How do this, you know, initiative, you know, aim to contribute to the sustainability and the beauty of VGC? Because when you are talking about the beauty of VGC, we cannot take away the fact that all the waters, you know, can you address
no problem. Let's have that conversation. I'm ready for
there are lots of water challenges over there. There are a lot, you know, and it's not just about your community. I know Lagos in general suffers that. Yes. But if you have a community like yours and leaders like you people who commute in that vicinity, I expect better from VGC. What's your take on this?
Joko, Kike, let me start with. I will first of all send you a video. Okay, first of all, there was a canal. There's a canal that's been blocked, and it's been blocked with litter, right? VGC decided that, and that canal is supposed to be managed by the state government. Okay. We made a decision because we are solution providers. And we said to ourselves, we can no longer wait for the government to fix the situation, like we always do in VGC. And we took responsibility. When she became VGC Pora vice chair at the time, she took us on a tour of the entire vicinity to show us where the problem laid. And we came back to that vicinity, cleared out. Today, we fund that through our residents. We clean that canal every month. In this year, you guys will not, you know, you media people, you did not talk about how when rain fell this year, VGC was dry, because we've gone to the root problem, found it, and solved it. We did not wait like the other estates that are still waiting for government to fix it.
All right.
So well done to us.
Okay, well done to you guys. And I like the fact that you've been able to throw light on that because, however, I know that in all this celebration, there are also challenges, you know. And moving away from that, you know, as VGC celebrate the milestone, you know, what do you see in terms of some of the key achievements or takeaway from well, what has made VGC a success story today? Because I feel that with all that you've shared thus far, let's look forward to what are your hopes for the next chapter of VGC community.
Okay, thank you so much for that question, and I thank you, Tara. You know, somebody who is not a member of the ESCO answering that question in details shows you that of the inclusion. And you know, VGC is the only estate that uses facial recognition to come in. So you are talking about the future. We're already using AI. Okay. We are thinking about the future.
Interesting.
For example, when other estates are still coming in by cards and all that, we are using the boom barrier and using E to come in. So every time we're trying to see, okay, how can we better this estate? What can we do better? What is going to happen in the future? And like I must tell you, some of the plans that are being executed now are some of the plans that the past chairman put in progress, and it's just a continuum like Lagos State. So the governance culture is so tight that it's a continuous thing and everything is put on auto run. For example, if you're in once you come into VGC now that I know you, the control room will report that you are in the estate. It's that detailed because we have CCTV everywhere, we have a control room and we have that. So everything about us is futuristic. Even the tree planting she mentioned is the fact that we know that most of the trees that we've had have existed for like over 30 years. And at the end of the day, we're planning another set for the future people that will take over the estate.
So when you say another set, so that means that there are other lands that you people have expanded or you've bought. Is that what you're saying?
No, the trees that we're planting, the trees that we're planting, we're planning for another 30 years so that the ones that we have that are old can be replaced. And every day we're thinking about things to better the life of the people who stay there. Because most of the time, like you have said, the narratives in town or on media or on everything is like but it's an estate that is full of good and hardworking people, and most of the time, because of the togetherness, we are in sync planning that what can we do better, and we're not waiting for government.
All right, fantastic one right there. I'm coming to you, Sister Tara, or Mrs. Tara Fela-Durotoye. You know, as I know you as someone who is a community person in terms of impact, you know, so I don't expect less from a community where you reside as a leader of VGC Pora, you know. How has this journey, you know, shaped the way that you approach community buildings? Because however you look at it, you are someone who has traveled across the world. What does this anniversary represent to you on a personal level?
First of all, right, this is the inspiration of one person.
Okay.
One man had a dream.
A vision.
A vision. And a vision to build a premier residential gated estate that had this sort of infrastructure. He started with a small estate in Yaba, then moved to the Dolphin Estate and decided, you know what, I need to do bigger and scale it. And that's what he did. To me, on a personal level, I'm seeing a dream, I'm seeing a vision, but I'm also seeing sustainability. 30 years after, House of Tara is only 26 years. And I know what I've put in to make it 26 years, but I'm seeing someone, that man is no longer alive, he's passed away, but the vision still remains because he was someone who was able to transfer that vision to another, one set of people, another set of people. One of the things I love about the estate is because there are visionary leaders who have taken over the realms of affairs within the estate. I think about the amount of work that he put in not just in having the vision, but communicating the vision and then insisting on governance. VGC is one estate that we are very strict on our bylaws and our rules. For example, if you come into the estate and urinate by the side, you will be fined. And you can't leave the estate without putting your POS inside the card. Because by the time you get to the gate, the camera caught you, has already alarmed the security system to say this guy has a fine to pay for urinating by the road. This is standard. These are the things we do. If you park your car overnight in front of your house without permission, Your tires will be clamped. You will pay 25,000. So I see VGC as a place where things work. Look at during the elections how organized our structure is. It's the fact that you come out of your house, they already send you a message to say between numbers this and this and this, you can come out now to vote. Their canopies design. Our management office has very good discipline, operational discipline around making sure that the place is organized and planned well. So for me, on a personal level, I look at this with admiration to say, listen, this is 30 years after it happened in Nigeria. It can happen for me as well.
Fantastic submission, right? And listening to you, I cannot help but ask, guys, will you agree with me that this is the kind of first lady we lead in our country? Because yes, and I must ask you. I know it's not about your husband right now, but listening to you, knowing the kind of impact that you both have made in Nigeria at large, do you see yourself and your husband running again just to look for how to put structure in place in Nigeria?
I see an estate that my children want to live. My children have said to me, Mom, I want to live in VGC as an adult because they've enjoyed their childhood. VGC gave them the opportunity to be able to ride bicycle to school.
You gave birth to your children in that community.
Yay!
They grew up in that community.
They've gone up to university.
So how do you transform what has been built in VGC to a larger environment across the states where there will be peace and unity?
And we are here discussing, having that conversation.
Yeah.
People are watching us all around the world. There are people who are watching us who are being inspired. There are residents in VGC who are being inspired to say, I can scale this outside of here by going to run for different political positions. And I wish them well in that process. God bless you, my sister.
You haven't answered that question. All right, what's your last word right now before we move to the last segment of the show in terms of what are the handles that you would like to share regarding VGC and maybe other events that you have that is coming up, that if those who do not reside in the community can also be part of? What's your message for them?
We have the charity work coming up this Saturday on the 16th of November. And it's a work that we're trying to raise money for children with disability and also the old people's home. So we plan to go visit them, give them gifts, support them, encourage them, and make sure that at least they feel good at this time because Christmas is approaching. And also we have the Cultural Carnival. The Cultural Carnival is a place where we have diversity at one place. All the states are competing against each other. And you know, most of our children have not seen masquerades before and all that. So we bring it into the community to do a sort of learning for them so that they learn, they see. So everybody around us, if you are interested, you can come and see a showcase of what Nigeria is all about. We have the Fanti people coming. We have the people from Abia.
The Lagosians coming. My people.
Your people are coming. We have the people from Abia. We have the Kogi people. And we also have the various food that is eaten in different parts of this country for tastes at that cultural carnival.
We have a village square in the center of the carnival, and there's going to be palm wine, there's going to be all the different delicacies for all the different tribes. So please come and enjoy.
All right, yes. Dr. Batsi, I know that you are listening to us right now. They've dragged me in and they said I should extend the invitation to you, and we must be there on Saturday morning. I wish you guys the very best. Continue to impact the society at large, and I know that there are many other things that can come out of VGC. Leaders like you guys, have impacted people at large, and I hope that, we'll continue to see more of you guys. Wish you longevity in Sparkling of Well to continue to impact what God has ordained in you guys. Well done, I must say. I think this is where we have to move to the last segment of the show, where we call Trending Stories. These are stories that binds us as Nigerians, as Africans. And the only trending story I believe that I'll be able to take today, because I have two guests on the show, is that of the EFCC chairman that laments about the degree of corruption in the power sector. And this is where I, as a host, have an opinion. And, this revelation from EFCC chairman Olukoyede, yes, is both disturbing, if you ask me, and sadly, surprisingly, because for decades, Nigeria's power sector has been you know, has been, I don't know the word to use now in terms of the corruption and mismanagement, you know, resulting in a very critical infrastructure that has failed us repeatedly. And I'm stiffened by the economic progress right now. This issue goes beyond just the technical faults that we see on socials. I feel that it speaks to a deeper-seated problem where unethical practices is being sabotaged when it comes to the potential of reliable electricity in Nigeria. So an essential service for citizens and businesses, you know, alike. You know, I just feel that the chairman's, you know, comments on substandard materials being used in projects meant to improve our electricity supply illustrates how greedy and negligence that affect the whole country. We can see my guests today coming here to talk about the community that they've created for themselves in the last 3 decades. And I'm asking myself, how do we get leaders, visionary leaders, can transform this country to another level? It's frustrating to realize that while millions struggle with frequent power cuts, some officials and contractors misuse their position to profit off the suffering of others. So corruption like this does not only rob the nation of progress, but also leads to wasted resources, if you ask me, abandoned projects, and a worsened living standard for Nigerians. So it's essential for me to recognize that Nigerians' economic troubles or challenges aren't the fault of political leaders alone. They stem just as much from the actions of everyday Nigerians who exploit the system for personal gains. Corruption and negligence, like I mentioned earlier, aren't confined to high-ranking officials. So they saturate all levels of society, if you ask me. When contractors cut corners by using substandard materials, or when employees skim funds or fail to carry out their duties with integrity or sabotage the entire nation, the government isn't an isolated entity, if you ask me. It's a reflection of our country today, of the people. So I'm asking what we choose or what we choose to do in our roles wherever we find ourselves is very, very important, whether as public servant, whether as VGC para chairperson, whether as vice president, whether as a leader, wherever you find yourself. I'm asking, what is the impact that you're making in a country where you feel that you need progress? Nigeria's growth or lack of growth right now today, it's a collective responsibility, however we look at it. It's a collective responsibility that we must start holding ourselves accountable wherever we find ourselves. So I'm just asking about our leaders. I just feel that this is the reason why individuals like you guys today are already championing a cause that quite a number of people will say that they want to be part of. I, for one, will not want to live in VGC. But listening to you in terms of the community impact that you've made, listen to the fact that there's so much love that lives within the people who live there. Someone like me will say tomorrow that, okay, I don't mind the location of the place. I want to live there because it's about the love that is being channeled from such a community. So championing integrity like EFCC chairman, Ola-Olu-Koyede, as far as I'm concerned, deserves our recognition and support. His effort to root out corruption, particularly in the power sector, reflects a community that I feel that we need real change in this country. Reformers like him, those in other critical sectors, are doing their part to steer Nigeria to a greater place, to a right direction. We've seen inspiring examples in the past. We've seen VGC as an example as well. We've also seen the likes of Dora Akinyuli, whose leadership at NAFDAC was transformative. So I'm asking in pain, however we look at it, our restlessness, the fight against corruption, the counterfeit of drugs and unsafe food save countless lives, are things that we need to look at when it comes to the health sector today. But listen, guys, Nigerians need more leaders, civil servants, who are committed to building a fair and functional society, who understand that the welfare of the people should also come first. These reformers prove that change is possible when individuals stand firm against corruption and hold their duty to serve the nation at large. So to truly build a prosperous Nigeria, we must all embrace the spirit of integrity and purpose. It is not just enough to demand reforms only from our leaders. We must embody it on our daily activity, our daily lives, our action, wherever we find ourselves. And it's not because Fela-Durotoye is here. It is the fact that when we see people who we can use as an example that is transparent to us, we must channel the light to see that these are the kind of examples that we need to follow. So we as a person must commit to working ethnically and responsibly with everything that we see in terms of the ripple effect that we want to see to strengthen the situation or this institution and transform society at large. The journey towards a better Nigeria is a collective one, I must emphasize. It begins with each of us choosing to do right, no matter the circumstances we find ourselves. Ma, in 1 minute, what's your take on this story?
Thank you so much for that. Listen, there are two things. Nigerians must take responsibility. Responsibility to actively vote for who we believe is the right person, not who we think will win. That needs to change. Secondly, we need a behavioral reformation as a people. A change in our values to begin to say, what are the values of us? If I say I'm a Nigerian, what are my values? And how does my behavior reflect my values? I'm not talking about religion here. I'm talking about being able to do the right thing at the right time, regardless of who it is that's doing the wrong thing.
Fantastic. Many thanks again. Of course, we are not talking about religion because we've seen the likes of Japan and many countries, Norway, who are doing better in terms of productivity and not just hiding under religion. On this note, this is where I draw the curtains of the show. But if you want to, with that, we've come to the end of the show. Okay, all right, we've come to the end. We've come to the end of the show. You know, many thanks to my resourceful guests. You know, thank you so much for creating time to learn your voice. Quickly, you want to say one thing in 1 minute?
To join VGC at VGC Pora if you'd like to see what we're doing. Follow us on Instagram, at VGC Pora. Thank you.
All right, please follow them at VGC Pora. Many thanks again to my resourceful guest, Mrs. Tara Fela-Durotoye, founder of House of Tara, and of course, House of Tara International, and of course, Mrs. Lola Bolariwa, lawyer, principal partner, and thanks for coming on the show today. It's been an interesting time having you both, and we wish you the very best as you continue to navigate your career path and your personal life. On this note, this is where I draw the curtains of the show. My name remains Kike Atanda-Owo. Bye now.